There's multiple people involved, people that may have seen Nolan last, but is not being truthful and coming forward as to what they saw, who was with him last. And we have various people that have come out, or come to us with the information. And one was sent in a DM, honing in on one particular person that may have been in an altercation with Nolan, that alluded to the fact that, and I messaged this person because I want to talk directly to the person that I saw the DM from. And we haven't talked to this person yet. But the person said in the DM to another kid that is associated, not any of the kids that I interviewed to talk to, but that could be associated to some degree, that knew Nolan, that this person wrote a message saying, me and my husband saw you arguing with Nolan, and to the effect of, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
Now, this is why you don't trust these people. Because Brandon Tatum was going crazy for the last, since he got involved in the situation, trying his best to, in the court of public opinion, exonerate these boys, right? Now, we know that these boys was the last people that Nolan Wells was seen with, right? And he was going hard. He went down there and and interviewed them. He even said that he's 150% sure, based off information he got from some boys that could have been lying, that Nolan Wells was on cocaine, controlled substances, and he was viciously inebriated, right? Now, mind you, he never said that any of those other boys were tested for anything, because they all went out together. So he was the only one, and none of them was doing it, right? He talked about how the family was receiving these unaliving threats. He never talked about the actual mother with the deceased son, never talked about the threats that she was receiving, right? Now, mind you, he says that he's just calling this down the middle, but he's not. He's trying his best to make these boys look a certain way in a positive light. Now, he's upset with the Cajun Navy because the Cajun Navy put out their report and they see some discrepancies. And he's livid that they put this report out with these discrepancies, right? He's upset because, remember, he came out and said that there was no foul play. And he's upset that the family brought in Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump. They should just wait for the police when the police came out from the rip and said that there was no foul play. So they hired a civil rights attorney because they understand Mississippi in a way that Mississippi does business when it comes to black bodies, right? So now the Cajun Navy, they put out their report, and man, he is pissed. He's upset, right? So when you go down here to at 431, they said the boat on which Nolan arrived on Horn Island departed at 1631. Basically departed at 4:30. Per user supply timeline. The supply package did not include the underlying GPS engine AIS record proven this time, right? Now, around 5 o'clock is where you have an altercation, right? But see, he's upset with this altercation talk because it gets convoluted, right? We have to find out now, was Nolan Wells the one that was in this altercation? Because remember, they're not revealing the autopsy results. They kept his organs, certain organs. They did all these things, but the Cajun Navy is saying, right? Matthew Lamb states a passenger was pretty certain a person was part of a group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. He says the Bertram with blue top left shortly afterwards and fast, not believed to be the factor at this time. Right? Melissa Thompson disputes the identification, states a different young man was with her group, and says they spoke to the boys, one of whom had an entire vodka bottle. Right? So now MR correspondence later uses 1800 CST with the origin vessel GPS datum right? So what they did was Caitlin Borcher states they were parked next to the group. This was around 7:30, and he was nowhere in sight when they left at 7:30, right? So anywhere between that 4:30 to 5 o'clock is when they saw Nolan, and around that time there was a fight, right? Something took place where they left immediately, right? New Supply shoreline photograph shows the crowded Anchorage Frontier Bay. Boat 2 is no longer in its earlier original position, right? Matching the positional change seen in the later fight video, right? So now there's a discrepancy going on. We know that we have a dead body. We have an autopsy that's not being revealed. We have missing body parts, right? They have him on that boat at 4:30, right? Between that 4:30 and 5 o'clock, there's an altercation. We got Brandon Tatum now saying that somebody saw what happened to that boy and you're going to jail for a very long time, right? Now, Brandon Tatum is upset that the Cajun Navy put this out, and he's trying to do everything he can do to run interference on this.
I'm not going to do that. We reviewed this thing, and it's a nothing burger. I don't even know why the Cajun Navy put this out. There's nothing there. Maybe it gives people fodder. They can create a lie because they know you're not going to read 26 pages. But I'm going to have Grant read the synopsis because we went through.
Now, Brandon Tatum, he claims to be neutral. He's supposed to be neutral in all this, right? But we already know Brandon. Whenever it comes to issues with black and white, it's never about race, but he's always siding with the W side, right? All the time. There's always something innately wrong with us, right? Whenever we having these conversations. He's never done videos criticizing the other side, ever, right? But this YouTuber who is a W, she start unpacking and uncovering some real secrets about Brandon Tatum and about what he's connected to, who he's connected to, and why he's taking the position that he's taking.
Why aren't we seeing footage of them returning that day? We know that Nolan was with them when they left. So why do they have the security cams from that morning, but not that night? Whose grandparents live there? Jax Patalo, whose family owns a pharmacy. It goes back deeper than that because George Patalo Sr., which is Jax's great-grandfather who is deceased, as it turns out, his great-grandfather was appointed and served on the staff of Mississippi Governor Cliff Finch. As you can see, I've confirmed Jax's relation to him. And as it turns out, Cliff Finch, well, he was in the Mississippi House of Representatives from 1960 to 1964 and supported racial segregation and backed the racist governor, to preserve segregation in the state. The federal grand jury conducted a 3-year-long investigation into his administration and several state agencies, and they were all accused of corruption and mismanagement. Finch was never found guilty himself, but some of his aides and appointees were indicted. And those sort of political connections seem to trickle down through the generations, so now we know why the governor got involved. And I started looking into the lawyer that's handling the defamation case from the Bart family. So from 2015 to 2018, he was state director of Americans for Prosperity. Then in 2018 to 2020, he was vice president of Stand Together while being vice president of Americans for Prosperity. Stand Together is a Charles Koch nonprofit, and Americans for Prosperity is a libertarian conservative political advocacy group affiliated with Charles Koch and David Koch. And if you don't know who the Koch brothers are, they're evil. Guess who's one of the major funders for Turning Point USA? Major donors for the Koch brothers also are primary financial pillars for Turning Point USA, specifically their campus operations. And guess who used to serve as the director of urban engagement?
Now, this is the thing. Listen, man, the rabbit hole runs deep, man, and you can see where he gets his marching orders from. Now, remember when Charlie Kirk was on the live, they didn't even invite him to speak. This dude is trying his best to get back into the whip because he got kicked out the whip when he sided with that protected group over there across the street, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Man, they went in on him, called him all kinds of names, everything. Now, he's connected to all these people, right, that's known for doing bad things, right? So, Nolan Wells' so-called friends could have reached out to anybody, but they reached out to Brandon Tatum. We know why. We know why they reached out. They could have, it's so many other large platforms that they could have reached out to get their story out there, but they went to Brandon Tatum for a reason. Now, when it comes to Nolan Wells and the family and their gifts and gold, and them raising money. You know, he was saying that, well, he's not going to donate to that because he doesn't know what happened, right? But remember, their friends, they also have one. And he start, listen, here he go with the pom-poms and cheerleading for them.
So anybody that believes that these boys need legal fees taken care of or whatever else they need, go ahead and support. Go ahead and support. And let me tell you, in my heart of hearts, after reviewing all this stuff and listening to everything, I want to support them. I'm trying to be fair, and I can give them a popularity. You know, I can push it out there and let y'all make an opportunity at it. I'm gonna try to be fair until the conclusion of the case that I'm not gonna give to either GoFundMe or Gifts and Goes. But I'm gonna tell you what, I'll put it out there if y'all want to support.
So we all clearly see what Tatum is doing, man. I'm not gonna call him Officer Tatum. Nah, he is what he is, right? And we now know he's been given his marching orders, and people are doing their due diligence and they're digging, right? And I'm sure they're going to do more digging on this Brandon Tatum cat because he's all the way mixed up in this, right? To the point where, you know what's funny? It's to the point where does the feds come in and say, hey, we have an ongoing investigation going on, and you're online carrying on saying that you know about these families that may be implicated in a murder. You know about people that may have gave the boy that was unalive drugs, right? Controlled substances. You know, like you had insight on conversations with these boys that we may not even have, right? You went down there, you've been on the boat, and now you're putting all this stuff out there. We're not even talking to the press, the public, but you're out here doing, like, this whole thing is just goofy, man. It's goofy, right? And you get a chance to see whenever it's us in this country, in order to get any form of justice, look at all the stuff that we got to go through. You know, we know darn well if this was the other way around and these were 3 black boys, they would have been arrested already, viciously interrogated to the point where somebody talked. If they would have heard that there was an altercation on the boat, man, the heads would have rolled. They would have been, man, it'd have been vicious from every sector, every aspect, no corner, every rock unturned. Man, listen, whatever's saying it, it'd have been bad. It'd have been real bad, and they would have did everything they can do. They might have locked parents up. They'd have brought up old cases on people. Everybody would have started talking to find out what happened to this boy. But when it come to us, here we are. And they say it's not about race, or we shouldn't be skeptical. Man, if you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time, peace.